Daytrippers, brought to you by bookmakers.com.
Hello, welcome to Full Time Red, sponsored by bookmakers.com. It's me, Chris. It's him, Matt. It was Brighton, I think, was it 3 in the end, Matt? Brighton 3, the shit show that is Liverpool fucking nothing. Which, quite frankly, Matt, Liverpool deserved fucking nothing. We were absolutely abysmal. And it's just like rinse and repeat. I'm pretty sure I've done the same intro now for 50-60% of the season. And it's not getting any better, is it, mate? And it's just getting fucking painful. But
no, this might even have been the worst of the lot. I mean, Nottingham Forest losing at home to Leeds. Those were bad. This game was so bad. We were second best in every part of the pitch, and every single position they had the better player on the pitch than us. And maybe not the goalkeeper. That would be about the only thing. But other than that, man for man, they completely outplayed us. 100% deserved result for Liverpool, and a fun full-time Reds to get to do.
Roy says, lads, if you want to bin it off today, let me know. I'll write you a sick now. So that's how we feel. Right, let's do the important thing first, though. So, as part of our charity drive, which is for breast cancer, somebody very kind in the comments, Kieran, has given us the 600 challenge. So today's show, Fatback 4, Monday show and Tuesday show, we're doing the 600 challenge, which is to get to 600 likes across the 3 shows. Kieran has very kindly said for every like we get, he will donate €1 towards the charity capped at £600. So there's a potential of us getting £600 by Tuesday into the charity funds, getting close to the 20k target. So I'll be honest, we're going to rip into Liverpool. We're going to talk about the shit show it is, but if that's the only good thing that comes out of today, can we do that first? Because we need some fucking joy. And I'll be honest, that's about the only thing I can see that's positive. So listen, me and Matt are going to give our thoughts, and then after we give our thoughts, quite frankly, we'll bring all your thoughts up, and people can vent. As we always say, give us your thoughts. We'll talk them through. Just keep it respectful. Other than that, go for your life. I mean, as Kev what, it isn't my fault. It isn't Matt's fault. I wish it was. I wish I could just say it was me and Matt, and me and Matt are holding the purse strings, and me and Matt setting Liverpool up wrong. Because quite frankly, we could just be moved. And
I wish it was your fault. I could be on here screaming at you for 45 minutes.
I wish it was my fault. At least then I'd be able to change it. Mm-hmm. But sadly, it's not. So let's go through the lineup, and then we'll talk. We'll talk around bits together. I'm not going bit by bit, first half, second half, because we'll just do an overview of it because it was fucking terrible. I don't really want to talk about it again. And then, look, mate, we'll just talk about how everyone feels, what shit's next, what we think can happen. Shane, that's how I feel, mate. Shane says, this feels like the official end of an era. It does. This feels like the full stop of that Klopp team. I mean, that probably the full stop of the Klopp team has been coming for a while, but that today was, I think I saw some on social media, Brighton looked like early Klopp. That's what it looked like. That's what it looked like. It looked like we got done towards what we did to teams 4 or 5 years ago, which is pretty depressing to watch. But let's talk about the lineup. So the only change that came in was from the Brentford game. Was Gakpo came for Nunes. Nunes injured, bit of a blow because I actually think the way Brighton set up would have suited a Diaz and the Nunes, but they're not there. This is not even wise of the events. I messaged Kev and went, I'm amazed he's picked the same midfield 3. It didn't work against Brentford. It did okay against Villa, but it has been working, and we know it has been working. And we've said for a while, I think all 3 of them have a place in the squad, but it's become apparent probably quite early in the season. You should only be 2 of them playing, max, and then you need the fresh legs next to it. Now, maybe that fresh legs isn't Elliott, maybe it's a Keita, but Keita again is not in the starting 11, and he's done right in the last 4 games he's come on. I'm getting to the point now with Keita, it's got to fall in one or 2 areas why he's not starting. Either Klopp's fucked him off, and quite frankly said, I'll just use you desperately when I have to. Or is Keita a bit like the Ledley King situation where you don't see many training photos till Friday? Is he just in some sort of training program where they're having to do whatever they can to get him fit, to get him in the squad? But that's all they can do with him. Because that seems to be the only 2 logical reasons I can think of why they're not picking him. Because to me, he can't do any worse than the starting 11 did. So you may as well. I think the only tweak he did was he got Henderson and Fabinho close together as a 6. Thiago went as a 10, which he's not done since early buying days, like his early 20s. So that's a while ago since he's done that. Ox to the left, Salah right, Gakpo through the middle, which he has done for Holland. I mean, the back four is the back four because there's many other options, and Alisson. And we can all say that's the plan, that's the tactics, that's the way they're going to play. Just got ran through, didn't it? Every time.
Yeah. I would have picked this lineup, I think. I think I would have come close to getting all 11 of these right, because it just feels like something's off with the gap from our established front three that have been playing for us and the guys coming in behind him. Like Curtis Jones has his reasons why he's not in and around the team. Like this is an opportunity that he should have been grasping right now. He should have been putting a...
But he's only back fit. He's only back fit from his latest injury, last week? So again, he's in there. He came to the Oxlade Chamber, but he's another one who is a talented player, but I don't know when Curtis Jones is going to stay fit for. It wouldn't surprise me if tomorrow they say Curtis Jones pulls up in training and Curtis Jones is out for 3 weeks. It's just that's the way the season's going, and that's the way it's been going all the time. A few like the high lines killers. It is when no one puts any pressure on you, just give them you give people a run at it. But
it's I wonder if the reason for going with this same midfield three again was because of the slight positional tweak that they made with the midfielders, with trying to play with more of a 10, that if anybody's going to be able to make that transition from that sort of flat 3 to more of a triangular 3, then it's going to be your 3 most experienced players, that have played in different systems a lot longer and stuff like that. But it just didn't work. Like within the first 15 minutes, I got the feeling that we were playing 1 or 2 men down, because every time they got the ball, they seemed to completely outnumber us. And there was so many open passes for them to make. And then because most of the time, the first half ended 0-0. So their attacks in the first half, we ended up snuffing them out. And then as soon as we tried to counter, it seemed like we had 1 or 2 players running up against 5 of theirs. Like in every part of the pitch, they ran harder, they ran faster. I'm sure they ran further. And when the ball got turned around, our players were so much slower in transitioning from attack to defense and vice versa. And they were just all over it. I mean, there was one point where Salah got released and he was running 1 against 4 of their defenders.
Ashley's put here, Klopp looks a broken man, asking for forgiveness from the away fans. It's heartbreaking. It's not a good look when you're asking for forgiveness from your away fans because you know it's that bad. Now, let's be honest. First half, we went in at half time. They had a penalty shout, which I'll be honest, when you watch the replay, barely fucking touched him, but he's offside. So we get away.
Never a penalty, definitely offside.
So we don't get that. So we go in at half time 0-0. And I'll be honest, I think me and Kevin messaged him to each other. I said, the only positive from that half, I said, this how low the fucking bar is they barely worked Alisson. There were shots from a cute angle, or they were right at him. So you're a bit like, okay, regroup, get it going. 60 seconds, 1-0 down.
Yeah.
And the frustration you've got, as I've watched this have a lot of seasons, we do need investment. We do need to freshen the squad up. We do need to tweak the tactics. But at times, though, you could do fuck all about players just being fucking brain dead. The Matic pass, why he thinks that's going to work. And then to make it worse, then he doesn't he tries to overkill rectifying his error. He tries to jump in, which would nearly get himself sent off. Because actually, the best thing that happened was them scoring. Whereas Matic would have got a second yellow and got binned. March comes in behind, don't know where the left back is, and it's an easy tap in, and it's just like, fucking forgive. And then second goal, Fabinho just says to Matip, hold my beer, watch my pass can be even fucking worse. Fabinho and Henderson, between the two of them, couldn't pass water. They were just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Thiago was absolutely anonymous in the 10 role. He hasn't played since his 20s, and the benefit of a 10 role is you get the ball to him so he can get on the ball. Can't get on the fucking ball, so he's just basically like a dead player then because you're not using him.
And I mean, Thiago, like we all know that Thiago functions better when he's facing towards the goal, when he can get his head up and make those passes. Like trying to get him the ball when he's coming back from a more forward position, playing as a 10 with his back to the forwards, he needs to make that one touch little flick around the corner then. And none of that was coming off. Like just the passing was so bad. Every one of our players today, their passing was fucking terrible. Like Konate with a pile of just poor passes. The number of times, like I take a fair number of notes throughout the game, and I think the one thing I wrote the most was we passed it straight out of bounds. We passed it straight out of bounds.
Yeah, quite a few. I mean, Kev saying, why the fuck is Thiago playing on the 10? There's two ways to look at this. I've been to many of these shows. Matt, you've watched them, you've read the comments. Why the fuck are we doing 4-4, 4-3-3? Change it up. Look, they've changed it up and it still isn't working.
Nope.
Now, admittedly, I think probably playing that same 3 is also a problem. But if Keita's not fit enough to start a game, Jones has come back from an injury. Elliott is absolutely shot confidence-wise, which I don't blame, lad, because again, we'll come to it. 2-0 down, we're throwing kids on. Doak and Elliott go and save us the game. Oh, thanks, boss. Brilliant. You know, Doak's going to be a brilliant player. Elliott's got ability to be a brilliant player. The kids, though, you know, now you can't help 4v6 attackers being out injured. Some of it people could blame the medical part. Some of it is just a bit of bad luck. Yep. You know, Darwin Núñez is a fast forward. You know, fast forwards will pick up hamstring injuries. People, you know, it happens. You know, hopefully it's not a serious one. But I don't know what you can. I'm at the point going, we know they're not going to bring anybody in. I mean, Klopp's comments the last time where he's pretty much like, do I have to have the money conversation again? I get the point he's making, which is we all know the model. They spend what they earn. The owners don't put their hands in the pockets. That's when we like it, we don't like it. That's the way it is. My argument back to Klopp would be, well, if that's the way it is, don't buy Gakpo. Because I assumed that buying Gakpo still bring a midfielder because the priority is you needed legs in midfield more than another forward. So if money's that tight, go for the one that you need. My reading of the lines is I wonder if they've got someone that they want and they can't afford the price that's being quoted. And at some point you're going, well, you've got to either break the model a little bit because at the end of the day, for me, I'm known for being fairly over positive about Liverpool. I always try to be, but fuck me. I would say in previous seasons, you said Liverpool had to overturn a 10-point gap with 19 games to go. I'd be like, yeah, no problem. I couldn't see Liverpool turn over a 1-point gap with 19 games to go. That's how poor we look at the moment. So there's not much else you can do. No,
and it's starting to me put more and more credence behind the notes.
Saying Klopp is lying to the fans. I hate to break it to you. He talks out of both sides of his arse. You want to elaborate on? I mean, look, all managers lie in press conferences, but which particular bit are you going on about? And then I'll bring it up. It'll be all right. Gary MC saying Ben Doak will more duels in 20 minutes than the captain did in 70 minutes. Sorry, that's unacceptable. Simply shouldn't be in the team. Possibly not. I don't think Fabinho should be in the team at the moment because I don't think he won it. I don't think he won it either between the two of them.
Somebody has to play. Somebody has to play midfield. We're not going to start a midfield of Keita, Jones, Elliott, Carvalho. People will absolutely have a shit hemorrhage if that was to happen. Some of these players have to play. I mean, that's a good shout from Sexy Saturn 888 there. Sal is not earning his 350, 400,000 a week. He's certainly not.
But what I would say for the front three is, when do they get the fucking ball? Do we ever get? There's no flow now where, you know, I think that's why there's so many that are snatching at chances. Because Trent puts a beauty of a ball if a gap, but he literally just has to touch it. And he shits the bed. He absolutely shits the bed. Because, and I don't blame him, look, it's his second game. So I'm not digging him out in that sense. But I'm saying there's so much pressure on them that they think, oh, fuck me, I need to actually score this. Because fuck knows how many I'm going to let in at the back end, and the midfield aren't going to run and help me. So I agree. I don't think he's look, Salah's not been great. I don't think anyone's been great this year, let's be fair, apart from the keeper. I think keeper's the only person who can actually hold his head up high at the moment. But there is also part of me that goes, he needs the fucking ball. And we can't retain any sort of possession. And it's quite easy now to run past us. It's so annoying.
Yeah. It really just feels like we've had some sort of cataclysmic drop-off in form of almost all of our established veteran players. You know, people talk about hitting the age of 30 like it's some fucking absolute cliff, and once players cross that 30 threshold, they just instantly become poor players. But it sure seems like, with maybe the exception of Bobby Firmino, might be about the only one of the guys that are in and around that 30-year-old range that have had a half-decent season. Virgil's had a massive drop-off in form. Fabinho, Thiago, Henderson, Mo Salah, all of them have just had shocking drops in their performance from what they've been at last season. And I don't think there's any club in the world that would be able to plan for that. Like, there's just no planning for that, because those are the guys you're building your team around. Like, that's the spine of your team. That's the bedrock of your team. Oh, Allison, he's the one who's, doing absolutely fine in that age bracket. Yeah. But the rest of our core players have all had terrible seasons.
No, I mean, as John rightly points out, probably apart from Allison, each one earn his wages. But Salah is on 17 goals in a team that's playing dog shit. 17 goals in terms of a team. Let's be honest, we aren't doing fucking well, are we? So, imagine we'd be down with 17 goals. Do you know what I mean? You'd be talking bottom half stuff. I mean, we are playing like a bottom half side. We're playing horrendously. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, mate, I hate to be a real downer, but that's how I feel after the game is pretty much end of February, the season could be done. Top four is looking incredibly unlikely. Playing like that, could you see us going to Wolves away when we've only won like a handful of away games this season? Probably not. And then, listen, like to be optimistic. Real Madrid will walk through that. Yeah. Real Madrid will walk through that with their B team.
Yeah,
if I was Real Madrid, I'd be resting my key players for the league.
Be doing a reverse Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah, I would. I think they literally could play the reserves games the way Liverpool played them out and just go. Mm-hmm. Do you know what we do? Benzema, Vinicius, you guys can have a rest. Why? We'll beat these without you. Yeah, that's how poor we look at the moment.
I just got to bring this up because I made a note of this at the 36-minute mark. Brighton they kind of got in on our goal. Kind of got snuffed out. It came to absolutely nothing. They went to show a replay of the attacking movement that had just happened. They had to cut the replay short because Brighton had the ball again. I don't know how we lost.
This was like Brentford when they scored, they disallowed it. They showed the VAR, they went, it's 2-0. Fucking hell, man. Do you know what I mean?
How, nobody seems to be able to put their foot on the ball. So, it seems like the issues that we were highlighting in the start of the season, we were piss poor there the first 6-7 weeks of the season, being, we can't press. We got no press from the front and this and this. Now it's just the most basic things. It's running, positioning, and passing.
Keep saying this is all the result of Klopp making poor squad management decisions over the last 4 or 5 years. I hate singling out Ox again, but the man shouldn't be at the club for as long as he has, as well as others. I think we agree that we needed to do something.
Yeah, nobody thinks that Chamberlain deserves to be here anymore, still, other than the fact that he has a contract. That's the only reason that he's here.
But realistically, who's buying Ox? Who's buying Keita? Nobody wants him. Nobody wants him. And we're not going to, and Liverpool aren't going to pay off the contract. That's just not how they run it. So again, we've sort of diddled ourselves by buying 2 players that they thought basically they should be the vision program. They're the starters with Fabinho and Henderson, Thiago on your bench players, which that's the ideal.
It's what happens. It's what happens when you have a failure in the transfer market. These are transfer market flops that we've had. We spent a lot of money on Chamberlain. We spent a lot of money on Keita. And they've both been flops for us. So all the people that are going out here scattergun, going just buy somebody, just buy somebody, just buy anybody. Look at how much you can be handcuffed when you actually have to work with a budget that you don't get to financially dope your team every single season. When you have to work with the budget, if you waste 40, 50 million pounds on a couple of players, you can handcuff yourself for 2, 3, 4, 5 years into the future. And this is what we're dealing with. So we just all have to hope that once those contracts are off the books, because between the two of them, they've got to be on a combined 250, 300,000 a week.
Yeah. But again, this is where you go back to not only FSG, you go back to the recruitment side and Klopp. If your money's that tight, you've got to work smarter. And Liverpool used to be very good at finding release clauses. Like, I find it hard to believe that only Liverpool knew Canate had a release clause, for example. Mm-hmm. But if they found a way of doing it and they found a way of making it work. They've stopped making those sort of decisions where you get players with, contract clauses or, he's got a year left. Thiago, we can get into him. We've stopped doing stuff like that. And I don't know why, because we know we're not going to go and spend 300 million on 2 players. We're just not. We've never done that. We're not going. Not under this ownership. We're going to. Boggs is saying change the formation up. I mean, we did today. They went 4-2-3-1, and it looks just as open as 4-3-3.
Yep.
Yeah. The question we've got to ask though is, a few saying, why are we picking Ox out? We're not. Ox and Keita were bought to be the starting midfielders with a DM. it hasn't worked out. Injuries, look, players can't help being injured, but we haven't been able to move them.
And like players getting injured, like when I say transfer flops, I don't just mean the players were terrible, because somebody said there, like Chamberlain was doing fine for us until his knee blew up. And that's true. But we still spent money on these players. We're paying them big contracts. They're taking up a spot in the team, and we're not getting any value for them. Keita has just been a poor signing. He's also terrible injury record and all that, but he just hasn't shown up. He's not given us the same moments that Chamberlain has. When they're both gone and years past, we're going to look back more fondly at Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's golden time with Liverpool than on Naby Keita's. Naby Keita's will not be remembered in a good light by Liverpool fans.
Yeah. But, so Paul Smith saying our midfield is too old, tired, legless, and to press the opposition. Agreed. Which is why I thought when they went to 4-2-3-1 would be, well, we'd sit a little bit deeper to not need to press as high, and we could play it that way. And then we still decided to press really high, which is just like, it doesn't make any sense. Adam O'Brien saying, Klopp made a decision in the summer, along with the staff, that these players were able to go again without any reinforcements, and that is a complete disaster. It has nothing to do with FSG.
Agreed.
I agree with part of that. It is still part to do with FSG, because what we don't know is, but we all assume is, surely they could have got somebody else in other than fucking Arthur Melo.
Unless Klopp didn't want him.
Correct. So then this is where I go back to the ownership question is, look, I know I sound like a broken record, but Arsenal at their peak had a David Dean who was between the football world and the commercial world. But what David Dean was very good at is occasionally leaning on the manager just to say, be a bit more flexible. Do you know what? Just pay the extra for him. Or I know he's not your ideal, but he will solve your other two problems that you want to do. So for example, you couldn't get Shoemany, fine. If the next capital rank for Shoemany is Bellingham, but it's not till next summer, fine. But you're always going to buy more than one midfielder anyway. So who was your middle tier that you're going for? Whether it was Nunez, whether it was someone else, go for that instead. Then you don't have to be in a situation where we're going 10 days to the window. Fuck, we need to get someone, bring in Arthur Melo, who had one of the worst injury history records I've ever seen. And we went, I'll be right. But when you leave yourself with 10 games to go, 10 days to go in a window, you're doing it. Clock's ticking. I mean, again, we're in that situation where if we do bring someone in, they're going to have to unregister someone. Because let's be honest, no one's buying any of the ones we want to get rid of at the moment.
No, it's just going to be let them run their contract down. If you can bring somebody in, you just tell Arthur Melo to train every day and collect his wages, and he's not going to play for us.
Yeah. I'm always saying that I'm afraid Klopp will walk if this continues. Either back him or watch him go. I don't think he walks. And the reason I don't think he walks is he's been at Liverpool for 7 years. He's done 2 contract extensions at Liverpool. If by now he doesn't know what the transfer policy is or what the budget is, I'd be a bit perplexed, because he must know this is the restrictions I've got to work under. This is the model I've got to work on. Because if he didn't know that or he didn't like that, why extend twice and then in 6 months go, I don't want to work under this anymore? Do you know what I mean? And if I can't believe the owners went, don't worry, this time with the extension, we're going to give you X amount more. Because nobody believed that, and I don't believe he's a stupid man. So, it's all three of them. The management, the recruitment, the owners. The combination of all three have balls this up, in different ways. The setup today is nothing to do with FSG. The setup today was the manager and his coaching staff. It was completely wrong. Yeah. And, Brighton saw through it and Brighton overran it. Now, then you can look at the ownership and the recruitment going, but look what he had to bring off the bench, which was Keita, who's half fit, and some kids and Gomez, who's completely shot confidence. So it's the perfect storm at the moment, which is really annoying. Jussi saying we spent 100 million on Nunez and Gakpo and the focus in midfield. Doesn't make sense not having an alternative to Shoemany negligence. Well, they had to bring in someone to replace Sadio Mane's numbers, not the player, but the numbers. And we lost Origi, we lost Minamino. So we lost 3 attackers. So we brought one in, and Kev, fair play together, he said that something he felt they were also another forward light. So bringing them in is fine. Again, I don't believe there isn't another player. There might have been another midfielder as good as Shoemany, but there must have been alternatives that they could have brought in. But again, is that down to the stubbornness of the manager? Which, to be fair, if it is, ultimately he's the manager. So if that's the reason, then look, he'll carry the can for it, because he has chosen not to. He's thinking I could get one more year out of this, and I'll wait till next year. Probably realizing now that's not really going to be the case.
I'd I'd like to see some of the comments that people had around our transfer strategy for defenders at the start of the 17-18 season before Virgil came in that fall period. How many people were saying the same thing of like, there has to be somebody besides Van Dijk that we can get in. We desperately need a defender. And then we get the right player, and it's correct.
Difference was, though, while Lovren and Matip and Klavan weren't they weren't world-class centre-back. They were solid centre-back, and they could do a job. And Liverpool, while they were
solid for Dejan Lovren, give me a break. That was the
solid,
shakiest man in the world.
They were solid enough. In other words, they were Premier League level centre-backs. You know, they weren't going to take you to winning the title, but they were Premier League level centre-backs. But the midfield, we've said for a while, you know,
our midfield is Premier League level. I mean, mid-table Premier League, judging from the current table. You know,
I think that's being generous.
But we're not relegation level team. Like, we're not that fucking bad.
Not yet. The way we're playing, who knows? Right, Klopp, here we go. I didn't say a lot to the boys straight after the game, as I think there was too much I could say that would have helped. I can't remember a worse game, not just at Liverpool, and that's my responsibility. It's a low point. So, no real surprise there. Klopp, the away fans were exceptional. They realised it wasn't our day, and they were great. They were great supporters. It's fully my responsibility. Did we look like everyone got? I mean, what I said before the game. So I think he's also pretty much saying that's the manager carrying the can for his team publicly. Let's leave it at that. I would say publicly.
Yeah.
I'd like to think behind the scenes there is something going on and senior players, but the problem is you'd like to senior players getting a grip of the team. The senior players are the fucking problem.
That's the core of the issue. Just going to stop right here and say we got about 330 people in and watching. So just a reminder, guys, hit the like button. For those of you that aren't regular listeners of the show, we've got a listener, Kieran, who's offered to donate to our charity cause, €1 per like for our next 4 shows, inclking this one. So, you know,
just be clear, capped at £600.
Yeah, capped at 600. So like,
we don't want to bankrupt him.
Yeah. We let's try to get at least to 150 tonight because we got 4 shows, so a quarter of 600 is 150. So let's do our part. We got enough people in here; it's the least we can do. And money raised going to help breast cancer awareness and the 11 women that are running the Dublin Marathon. So that's the absolute least we can do because talking about Liverpool is not fun at the moment.
No, it's not. But look, I think we've had the highs of the last few years. You know, unfortunately. We all got to just take this season on the chin, aren't we?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's I'm one who I refuse to not watch even when it sucks. I refuse to turn off the 7-2 Villa game. You know, during that barren run in the center halfless season, I watched all those games, no matter how much it hurts. And you also got to somebody, I think it might have been Kevin Ball in the Telegram earlier, was saying that, you know, he kind of took it for granted last season. And it was like, man, I did not, because you got to be aware that when the times are good, you have to revel in them and enjoy them, because you also have to be here through the low times and the shit times. And that's what it means to be a fan. That's what it means to follow any sporting team.
But Kev also said this a few times. I think he's right. I think when you're in these sort of situations, it's never as bad as you think it's going to be. So it's never going to, you know, it feels at the moment like, fuck me, this is like a completely new squad. This is like, you know, at the moment, after the last couple of games, I feel like that's fucking rid of all of them. Start again. But that's clearly not going to happen. But with the right recruitment, you know, it might not take as long as we think to get them kicking on again. Quantum Leaks Geek saying, why isn't Carvalho or Ramsey even allowed to compete for a place? There is something seriously wrong with Klopp's mentality right now. I think the question of mentality is the wrong choice of words. What you don't know is we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, because I've noticed Carvalho has barely been used since he texted the Portugal man and said, I don't want to play for you anymore. Which we also at the time was, maybe that's a bit old school. You don't text someone something like that, you ring them. So again, there's something going on.
Then it's not written down.
Yeah, Ramsey, he's a kid. He's not, you know, we're playing a 19-year-old.
What happened to? We shouldn't just be throwing these kids in. We should be, you know, gently introducing them into the team, like we did with Fabinho, like we did with Robertson. It's just when things go bad, everybody just finds the negative in everything and forgets that they were crying out for what's happening 6 months earlier or a year earlier.
I think if he threw Ramsey or Carvalho at the moment, I think he'd end up destroying them.
Yeah, It's
confidence-wise, because the team's in such a dire form at the moment.
Yeah, I think that speaks a lot to how. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go on, you finish. Go on.
I was going to say, I think that shows how highly Klopp rates the mentality of Harvey Elliott, that he's not protecting. And it might just be needs must. It might just be that he's the next name on the rank, but he continues to throw him. Like, he could have put in, the game was done today pretty much. Like, it would have taken a miracle for us to come back by the time we made that quadruple sub on the 68th minute. He could have put Fabio Carvalho in instead of Harvey Elliott and just kept him out of this firing line because it was an obvious shit show. But he didn't. He keeps going back to him. So they obviously feel like he's got the mentality that this isn't going to break him, that this is actually going to be the fire that tempers the steel.
Yeah. Albert's put this in, so we'll have to talk about it, because let's be honest, it's appeared on social media. So,
sure.
Do you keep the manager? I'll give you my answer. I'd get rid of half of these fucking players before I got rid of the manager. This is by no means saying Klopp is he's perfect. We can't blame Klopp. We fucking can, because the manager himself held his hands up and said, clearly I wasn't clear of what I've done, and that's the worst performance. And he's apologised to the away fans. He knows he's ballsed up some of this himself, but there's combinations of, and Albert, you're saying it's time to go. Who's replacing him under the current ownership? Who's going to work on the current ownership? And let's be honest, they're going to have to work with this set of players now until the summer, and then you're going to do this. So, listen, if you want the opinion of the manager going, that's your opinion. I don't agree with it, but that's fine. That's fine. We're not meant to. But let us know who's a replacement. Who's going to work on this and make this better.
Yeah, to me, it's not even a question.
It is a question. I've just asked it.
It's a facetious, rhetorical, and silly question to even ask. I feel that Jurgen Klopp gets to decide exactly how his Liverpool career goes. There should be absolutely no pressure on Jurgen Klopp from the fan base after all that Jurgen Klopp has given us. One of our all-time great managers, just a brilliant ambassador for the club. So for me, it's loyalty goes to the club first, and then Jurgen Klopp, and then everybody else is more expendable than that. You go back to what the Dortmund CEO or whatever their boss is called said years after Klopp.
Ooh. Is that me or is that you that's gone there, Matt? Someone in the chat tells, is it Matt that's gone or is that me? It was halfway through a good flow there. But look, listen, thanks for your comment, Albert. We still got to do that. That's what I was saying, right? It doesn't matter. You people talk as if we hadn't had managers like Shankly, Paisley, Fagan, LFC Sachs, Kenny Dalglish. They did, but we're asking you, Albert, then, if he goes, who do you bring in? That's all I'm asking, is who would be your ideal to replace him that is realistic, gettable, and that we can do with it. That's the question I'm asking you. We're not saying the manager never has to go. We're asking you who you replaced him with. Let's say that. I think FSG have got to Matt. That's why he can't answer anymore, because he's making a good point. So, Quad Geek saying, if we play Ramsey at right back and push Trent to midfield, it will at least be something new. It would be something new. I mean, Trent's not played midfield properly now since he was in the under-21s. So the question you've got to ask is how, can he do what we need in midfield? Will it work for him? I don't know. Again, it's just how many times you want to change it. So this is the joys that it was. I'm not going to ask for man of the match because, quite frankly, there isn't one. Let's be honest. Probably the away fans, fair folks are going, go that long trip and having to put up with that. So, right. So, assuming manager stays, which I think he will, and assuming we don't buy anybody else, which I think is a pretty safe bet, how do you get this team competitive again for next few weeks until you get the likes of your Jotas and your Diaz is back? Because I'm all open for ideas. Someone's put Tuchel in. I'm not unless you want to see Gav's head pop. Mushy saying Konate gets man of the match. Me, he only made one mistake. He did, but between him and Gomez that led to the goal. So I'm not sure. I won't give anyone that match. They're all pretty much. Bonker saying you think Potter was better than Brighton. Look at him now at Chelsea. If you change the manager, it might get worse. It's a very good point. Chelsea have spent. Well, look at the spending again. I think they're trying to poach Arsenal's striker, the big offer, whose name I can't pronounce, and I won't try to. And it's going worse. I mean, look, it could also go better. We just don't know. Dave B is saying, Klopp, there was no signs of this performance before the game. As he watched us, I back Brighton easy money. Well, I think what he's talking about there, I think he's talking about how they've trained and what they've talked about in training. He must have thought the message got through. He clearly knows it hasn't. But again, what do we need? What do we need to do? Sonny Kang, that's the person. Yeah, apparently they've accepted an offer for him of over 100 million euros. So, it's mad money at Chelsea, isn't it? But Archer, I mean, if you had Solly March in your fantasy team, you've done well. 2 goals and assists. What more can you ask for, really? There we go. Olivier is saying Liverpool fan salvation at the likes of Ward Prowse. I need a drink. It's only 12:45 p.m. If I'm on it, if I'm honest at the moment, so fucking I think anyone will be on it. I think Matt's gone. I think we've lost Matt. I think his internet's died.
Baha!
Did FSG not get you there, mate? We thought you were making a really good point, and then I thought, no, that's gonna die.
I got a phone call on my special red phone with a direct line to Boston, and they told me to just nip that in the bud. So
yeah. Tell that Chris to stop saying it's our fault.
That's my FSG overlords. Just pulled the plug on it, just frantically pulling cables out of a computer somewhere.
So basically, we've had a bit of a chat about the manager, what people think. And then at boxers, the only good thing is Everton losing today. I can't even take any joy in that, to be honest. I really can't take any joy in all that.
There's playoff NFL football starts up here in a couple hours, so get into that. Tough time change for you boys.
Could care less.
It's playoffs. It's playoffs, baby. If there's one thing that North American sports does right, it's the fucking playoffs. Playoffs rule.
Yeah. So, question then.
Shoot.
Wait for people to chat to put this in. Manager stays.
Yep.
Squad stays as it is.
Yep.
How do you make this team competitive for the next few weeks until you hopefully adjust from Diaz back? I mean, hopefully Nunes isn't too long. We could. Listen, I feel like we're talking formations, and I think it makes no difference. Mush has put, here's a temporary solution: go to a diamond. That got us 4 wins before the World Cup, and drop the high line, just counter attack.
I think that dropping the high line thing is the point. Like, I saw this thing on Twitter a few years ago. I think I might have mentioned it on a show before, but like, there's park the bus teams, there's counterattack teams, and then there's dominate the ball possession teams. And we've been in that dominate the ball possession team thing. And maybe it's time for us to drop back into being more of a counterattack team, especially if we're going to have a guy like Darwin Nunez in the team, like with his pace, same Mo Salah as well. Like, if we're going to have forwards that are quick on the ball, just everybody drop back, abandon the high line, drop back 10, 15 yards, keep the fullbacks at home, and just tell them that if we manage to win the ball back.
So was that 3 at the back. Let's not do that.
Hey. Whoa. Here we go.
Only an absolute weirdo would say 3 at the back. As Sonny Kang says, I was pointing out it was your fault, which is also true. I wish we could say that season.
Yeah.
And MC30 saying, simple answer, Chris, is we don't. Honestly, we're doomed without a new midfielder. It's boring, but it's true. It does feel like that. But let's be honest, that's nothing new. But I'm working on the basis we don't do that. Bonks is also saying similar, 4-4-2, Salah up front. Do you do Salah and Nunes close together? You can play Gakpo one side, Diaz the other when they're fit, and then you have a midfield 2. Or you say, there are variations of that we can do. We need to get Salah and Nunes close to the goal for a start, because they're fucking miles wide. We just got to get the ball to them.
If we're going to be getting penned in like this, fuck, man, towards the end of the game, it hurts hearing fucking opposing fans getting to just ole as they pass the ball around us in a 3-0 game. Like, that's fucking painful. But that was the case from the first minute through the entire game. Was that, like, when was it?
Though, we'll see what you're saying. Will things get worse before they get better? I can't see get better anytime soon. So let's be honest. Even if Liverpool bring in a midfielder, even if it is the dreamland of they bring in like a Caicedo, that don't fix this season. This is a couple of this. We thought in the summer we needed at least 1 or 2, which we still think that now. Also, fucking hell, Caicedo. I'm not sure I'd want to do this. Can you imagine what's running the ball like that? His hamstrings explode after 2 days.
So here's a crazy shout for you. If we are in full rebuild mode and the need to balance homegrown players and buy to sell and all that.
James Ward-Prowse.
Do you keep Quivine Kelleher and sell Allison to Bayern Munich?
Absolutely fucking not.
You get a lot of money for him.
I generally would not sell Allison. He's about the only one I'd keep at the moment.
That's because he's the only one that really has a really high value in the current market.
He's also the one that actually is doing his job. To be fair to him, I know he had a stinker against Wolves, but you know what? I'll accept Allison having one stinker. That's it. No, you've got to keep that spine. But like I said, in the current model, I know where you're coming from. But oh god, that's
our current spine seems to have like spina bifida or something like that. Like we need some sort of back brace.
But Kev Paul said I should ban you. Unfortunately, guys, I've got some really bad news for you. He's back next week because I'm not here next week. I don't have to watch the debacle that will be the Chelsea game because
that game's going to be bonkers. That game's going to end 6-5.
That's going to be who could be shit. It's going to be like a 0-0. Actually, no, it won't be 0-0. It won't be 0-0. Neither side
will not be 0-0.
No, I don't get to watch that because I will be stood at the side of a pitch watching my daughter play, which, to be honest, will probably be a lot more enjoyable and a lot less stressful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
I see you're saying Thiago's 6 looked good towards the end. I think Thiago works in a 6-6. That's what he played at Bayern, so, we'll go from there. But listen, the time is now 10-6. We've been on this long enough. Like and subscribe, that'd be grand. And then we'll go from there.
Yeah, head on over to bookmakers.com and bet against Liverpool every week. Because somebody said in the chat there that they picked Brighton to win, and it was easy money.
Bet on Liverpool, because when it happens, you'll make a fucking shitload.
Yeah, the odds are only going up.
Yeah, but listen, gamble responsibly. But also on there, they have the YouTube channel, which Gav does a show once a week on it, which is really good. And just there's loads of good. If you're into your stats and all that, there's lots of that stuff. And the other important thing is charity information in the link below. If you take nothing else from today, like and share that charity link around. If you can give, I know times are hard. That'd be great. We're trying to get up to 20k towards breast cancer research, so that'd be grand. But listen, the guys will be back tomorrow. Fatback 4, Gav and the guys. So they will dissect all of this, and we can sort of relive that as like therapy will start then.
Yeah,
and then we'll have some more. We'll have winners and losers on Monday. I can't think who'll be in the loser section for Monday. Tuesday, we'll have another show, and then there'll be another full-time Red on Wednesday when we talk about Liverpool still in the FA Cup. Who knows?
Who cares?
But that's how it feels at the moment. But listen, Matt, cheers for joining us.
Yep.
Guys, thanks for joining us. Enjoyed the chat. Always good fun. That's our first therapy session over. Until then, see you guys very, very soon.
Yep.